I've been studying and watching Canada geese for 35 years. They're actually my first love. They're the reason why I got in this business.
There's something about those great big birds coming in making a ton of noise.
Canada geese have adapted right in front of our eyes.
Part of that makes it fun to hunt because you're constantly, looking and trying to learn what's going on.
It's actually just a modern day success when it comes to wildlife management. Get 'em.
Ducks Unlimited Television is presented by Drake Waterfowl Systems, innovators in waterfowl hunting.
Hello and welcome to episode 1 of another fantastic season of Ducks Unlimited Television. I'm Ashley Horvitz. This past waterfowl season was full of challenges once again. Mild conditions around North America resulted in stagnant migrations in most areas. But like always, the DUTV crew captured exciting hunting action from South Texas to North Dakota and in between. In this episode, we focus on one of the most popular and recognizable waterfowl species, the Canada goose. These geese come in all shapes and sizes and are found throughout Canada and the U.S. Chances are, Canada geese can be found at your local park, golf courses, and neighborhood lakes. Get ready for a great season next on DUTV.
Canada goose story in North Dakota is a really amazing one. It's a species of birds that was on the brink of extinction. During the restoration efforts, especially in the 80s, 90s, and leading up to about the early 2000s, there were a lot of pairs that were moved around with young during their flightless stage, and Canada geese will go back to areas where they first attained flight.
The biggest success story of the Canada goose is its ability to adapt. In most cases, habitat loss through wetland destruction, through development, has been detrimental to many species, but to the Canada goose, it's been part of their success. See, a Canada goose by nature is a grazer. They would almost rather eat grass, pick wheat, clover, that type of vegetation, pretty much all day long. In the east, especially in the populated areas basically east of the Mississippi River where a majority of the population is, all those developments, golf courses, industrial parks, retention ponds, all are mowed, well-kept grass. Those Canada geese have flourished there because that habitat is exactly what they need to thrive in. So it's the first morning up here. It's 2020 goose season, early goose season here in North Dakota. We just got up here with Dirty Bird Outfitters and some boys, DU volunteers from up here in North Dakota. We just got the spread set first morning. A lot of molt migrators. The season's been going on for quite a few years, but the population of Canada geese in North Dakota has risen to, they estimated in May of 2020, 335,000 Canada geese. Obviously all big honkers here. So we're in the right field, which is pretty cool for this time of year. So we got geese in the air coming right here. Here they come, here they come. Get them. That's a good start.
That's a pretty bird there.
It is.
That's been a very successful bird. When you go, especially, I know you guys are spoiled living up here in North Dakota, the amount of waterfowl that are here, but you get down to where I grew up. When I was a kid, this bird here didn't even really hardly exist. It wasn't until I was probably about 10 years old before I even seen my first one. I remember we killed like 8 or 9 one time, and it was like made the newspaper deal, you know, and that was in a year. Yeah, I think we killed 3 one day, and just not that many. Now they're everywhere you go. That's a nice, healthy bird right there.
Ducks Unlimited Television is presented by Drake Waterfowl Systems, innovators in waterfowl hunting. Mossy Oak Shadow Grass Habitat, the official camo of Ducks Unlimited. Browning Firearms, the best there is. Native Nurseries, hand-selected, hand-grown plants for wildlife. Higdon Outdoors, quality, customer service, innovation, that's Higdon. Mossy Oak Properties, America's land specialist. And Ducks Unlimited's Ducks Expo at Texas Motor Speedway, celebrating everything outdoors.
I've been chasing waterfowl since I was 9, 41 years. And for many years, hunting was the only knowledge I had of them.
So Vernon and his brother and myself, we got a lot of gray hair coming on, and without the volunteers, DU does not exist.
Ducks Unlimited is for the future. Without the habitat, the ducks won't be here, the pheasants won't be here, the deer will go away.
If you're an experienced goose hunter and you want to go to the next level, it's not done with what I call 30-yard knowledge. 30-yard knowledge is what you learn hunting them with a shotgun. Effective range of a 12 gauge, right? If you really want to get them closer, understand, so when the conditions are very adverse, you can still be successful. Getting out, glassing, watching, listening, you'll learn a lot from the Canada geese themselves. Late in the year, a lot of things that I'm getting ready to talk about don't exist. But this time of year, you have to understand what type of geese you're hunting. Are they a family group, a family unit, molt migrators? There's many things that plays into location, calling strategy, decoy placement, and the amount of success that you're going to have in the field the next day. So when scouting, what you're looking for is you're trying to figure out how many adults versus juveniles are in that flock. You typically will find a family unit, which would be mom and dad with the young of the year, a family group, 2 or 3 mom and dads with the young of the year. Now those geese have become accustomed to each other and will get up, and they might be 10, 15, 20 in the flock. And they'll go out to a feed field and sit down together. Mom and dad do not want their young of the year to be associated next to other adult geese or maybe even molt migrators. So understanding that is very important on how to set your decoy spread. What you see when you scout is how you try to naturally set your decoys, because it changes with weather conditions, especially temperature, time of year, whether it be family units, family groups, migrating geese, lessers, Canada. So there's so many different things where people say you always set a hook or you or whatever. You just kind of throw that out the window, especially early in the season. A good rule of thumb is the warmer it is, the looser you set your decoys, and the colder it is, the tighter you group your decoys. You'll see here, see this little pair right here? That's a male and a female. The male has its head up, the female is behind it feeding. Very, very natural. But you see, I also have little groups here of 5 to 7. Mom, dad, the young of the year. And then over here on this side, the geese are kind of grouped together. This simulates somewhat molt migrators. So this would be considered a family group. You got a sentry up top. You have a sentry at the back. These here in the middle are juvenile birds. And so you see this a lot. If you go out and scout, and you pull up, the 2 of the adults in the group look up and be looking at you on the road, but the juveniles, they won't even look up. They'll have their heads down. Typical family group, super important, August, September, even sometimes into October to have this, but early season, very effective. A good rule of thumb is Canada geese won't feed any closer than 10 to 15 yards for any type of obstruction in the bush. So you can see we have a nice tight straight line, which is very, very natural. We're kind of wide and we're not very deep because big honkers will land about 10 to 15 yards shy of a food source. So if they land shy of us right in here, they're going to be about 30-yard shots, 25 to 30-yard shots. And on a light wind day, I like to use what I would call a T-spread. I create a nice solid line, defining don't come any closer than this, naturally. We got family groups, but right here in the middle, we actually have 2. Typically I would have 1 to 2, but you see we got nice feed lines. What that's illustrating is the geese have landed out there and they're walking into the food. But these geese here, you see there's a lot more heads down feeding closer to our hide. And those geese have landed out there not finding much and are walking towards the food. Our setup today is the geese will hopefully land in these two holes, and a lot of times they'll land right into that walking line, walking in. Typically what honkers do.
Canada geese that nest and reside in the lower 48 states for most or all of the year are considered resident birds. These populations now number over 3 million, an incredible waterfowl management success story. In fact, these grand waterfowl can now be found nesting in every U.S. state. Why have they been so successful? In comparison to migrant Canada geese, residents begin nesting at a younger age, have larger egg clutches, and enjoy relatively stable and high reproductive success. Except for the mallard, no waterfowl species is more recognizable than the Canada goose. Their dark bodies, distinctive white cheek patches, and vocal nature make these geese easy to spot. Add in the fact that many people live near resident populations, and you have a species well known throughout North America. There are 7 Canada goose subspecies and 4 cackling geese ranging in size from just a few pounds to over 20. Cackling subspecies were separately recognized as recently as 2004. Their small body size and high-pitched voices distinguishing them from the larger varieties. But they live a long time too. A banded giant Canada goose holds the current longevity record at a remarkable 30 years and 4 months. And by the way, don't call them Canadian geese. They don't all reside in Canada or resemble that tasty bacon, and the Canadians will make fun of you. To learn more about Canada geese and other waterfowl species, please visit ducks.org.
DU Insights is brought to you by Mossy Oak Properties. Find your favorite place at mossyoakproperties.com.
Look at this pile up above us.
Our population of Canada geese in North Dakota has been increasing pretty steadily over time.
So when the population really started to flourish, I would estimate, in my opinion, through years and years of hunting them, we're somewhere in the 80s in the lower 48 as localized resident Canada geese. Now the original Canada geese, the honkers, the giants per se, most of them came from Minnesota and Wisconsin. A lot of them had whites on their forehead, true giant Canada geese. Back in the day, a lot of states would trade maybe bobwhite quail, pheasants or whatever back and forth to state agencies to reintroduce these Canada geese in many of the lower 48 states. The population just started to grow. Now as the migrators started coming from the north, they would mix in with these localized Canada geese. And in my opinion, they crossbred. A lot of the Canada geese from the lower 48 would go back in winter in Canada. Got them, boys. And we call them molt migrators.
Waterfowl go through a molt where they take off all of their flight feathers at one time. So they have a flightless period. So they go someplace away from breeding areas that they know or have this innate sense that is going to be a secure place to do it. So they can spend a flightless period regrowing flight feathers. Usually around Memorial Day weekend and then the first week of June, we see a big molt migration where our birds start taking off and other birds from other states or breeding areas start showing up during their molt migrations.
It's very interesting to hear the fact that localized Canada geese here actually molt migrate back into here, and they actually spend summer even further north. Now those geese have gotten up in the last 10 days and headed back south to their home states. But migrators will also return back to North Dakota. See, there's molt migrators. They're actually in northern North Dakota, maybe Saskatchewan, Alberta, right here, and they will also return home probably in the next few days and already have started coming with any north wind.
When you're preparing your dog for a goose hunt, you're really preparing for two scenarios. a pit blind, a large pit blind where hunters are jumping up and shooting all at once and you got to get your dog steady, or layout blinds where you're on top of the ground and your dog has to work from a height. Let's just look at some of the different scenarios we practice with our dog well before they get into the field. Let's see what this little dog's got in him. Darby. He did not break when he jumped up. He gets his bird straight away through the decoys, no problem, back in the hide, delivers the hand, you tuck back in. Now the trick is he's got, although he's excited, he's got to go back in the kennel, lay down and be quiet and still, ready for the next pass. What we're doing in this scenario is phase 2. We want the dog to be able to lay down in place in the field in case we don't have a blind or a hide. We can cover him with a camouflage top or even a snow blanket. So sometimes this is going to be necessary for the dog to sit very still in the field without movement. Actually, many of these skills can be taught in the home. It's just really crate training and place training, and it just transfers to the skill. Let's see Darby and his shell hide, which he really loves. That is just an extension of crate training. He absolutely loves this little shell, and this is going to blend in perfectly with a big goose spread. Now that's fun training, preparing the dog for big goose spread. The first time your dog has to engage with these types of skills should not be opening day at sunrise.
Duck Dog with Mike Stewart is presented by Purina Pro Plan, nutrition that performs. DUTV is powered by Zink Calls, a champion in every call. Browning Ammunition, the best there is. Biologic, scientifically proven wildlife products. Purina Pro Plan, nutrition that performs. Tetra Hearing, more than hearing protection, it's hearing perfection. Closed captioning for Ducks Unlimited Television is brought to you by Mossy Oak Bottomland, the official timber pattern of Ducks Unlimited.
Well, blowing a short reed, the most important part is getting this little buzz. So that's like the training wheels of blowing a short reed goose call. And you do that by sticking the tip of your tongue down the bottom of your mouth, and you bring your arch of your tongue upwards towards your palate. You create somewhat of an orifice, kind of like you got a gum ball in front of your tongue, behind your teeth, right in there. You bring your tongue up like that. And when you do that, you get that buzzing sound. A lot of people, like flute calls, you gotta flip your tongue to break them. And a lot of people that have struggled with a short reed call started with a flute call where they're used to popping that tongue. And on a short reed, just leave that tongue in that position and you just add air. So when the call actually works by itself. And you just add a little bit more air. And you do not move your tongue. And so that's why a short reed is so fast. So like when we're calling those geese, like that flock that just went by and we're calling real hard, we're doing that with a single breath of air. You don't have to breathe much because they don't take any air because your tongue is in the right position. Every time you just add that air, just a little spurt of air, the call will break. It's not really the volume of air that you put into that cavity, it's the speed of the air. And so when you use a lot of air, a lot of people say, wow, the call is really hard, is because their tongue and their technique is not in the right spot or right area. So if it takes you 2 or 3 days to learn how to go and have that really buzzy, raspy sound, that's what it takes. It might take 2 weeks to figure it out, right? But once you figure that buzz sound out, then you just add a little bit of air with a short reed. And every time you just add a little bit of air, it breaks right over. If you puff your cheeks out on a short reed, it will not. You cannot break it over whatsoever. On a flute, you can, but like on a duck call or a goose call, you don't. I blow my short reed calls exactly the same way I blow a duck call. Same tongue position, same airflow. Everything comes from the diaphragm. It's just a little spurt of air. So just like one little spurt of air. That's just one breath because once you get your technique right, it's just a little pop of an air. So it doesn't take much air to really blow a call once you get good technique. This takes a little practice.
Yeah, I know, I've tried my share. It doesn't sound anything like what what you guys are doing here.
Well, practice makes perfect. It's like anything.
Duck Talk with Fred Zink, powered by Zink Calls, a champion in every call.
I thought they were going to come right back to the decoys and let you guys have at it, but filming versus shooting, right?
You know, as soon as the season gets done the last year, you're thinking about the next year. You're getting stuff ready and you're dusting off decoys. And the early season is just an excuse to dig into that decoy trailer, get your decoys out, figure out what you need, maybe buy another box, hide it from the wife. It just jazzes you up for what's coming ahead.
Here they come back. We're not going to be so gentle this time. Shoot them.
Early season goose hunting offers a ton of opportunities. It's a great way to introduce a young person into hunting. Liberal limits, it's warm, you're not freezing your tail off. We're super pumped to get out and chase those early honkers. And like I said, you bring a few of them home and just get you jazzed for the next time out.
Thanks to everyone who had a part in this year's production for embracing tough conditions and making this another must-watch DU television season for waterfowlers. We know you'll enjoy it. Be sure to catch all the action and new segments this year on Insights with Ducks Unlimited CEO Adam Putnam, Duck Dog with Pro Retriever trainer Mike Stewart, and Duck Talk with DUTV co-host and champion caller Fred Zink. On behalf of everyone at Ducks Unlimited, thanks for watching and see you again next time on DUTV.